Alrighty, let's see how well that's working. So, instead of doing anything outside or making a video outside today, I figured I'm going to make a video inside the box and kind of go over some ideas I've had about videos and where I want to take my channel. Also, why I chose Quartzsite, Arizona to winter this year. So, last year, I went out to Florida to visit my brother in Destin Beach. And last year, 2024, 2025, it freaking snowed down there. And I was so peeved off because I ended up couldn't stay in Destin. I actually had to travel all the way down to Key West just to outrun the cold and then outrun the snow. And even then, it was still chilly at night. And that's one thing I can't stand, is I can't stand being cold. Even though I wasn't in this rig, I was in my truck itself. So that was the reason for Quartzsite this year. As it stands in these videos that I've seen about Quartzsite and of this year, and everybody complaining about people trash talking Quartzsite and just coming out here and being like, oh, there's a lot of theft or there's a lot of this. You know, I haven't really noticed the theft. I've talked to a couple officers that have come out here where I'm at. I'm in LTVA North right now. And I talked to a couple of them, and they said that it's less than average this year. But there's less than average people this year. So that's one aspect that you could look at, is that doesn't matter where you go, there's going to be a crime rate. And you just got to deal with it, you know. My biggest thing is don't leave an opportunity. I leave my motorcycle at my campsite. It's chained to my rig. You are going to have to go get a pretty robust grinder or a blowtorch to cut my motorcycle or to cut the chain to remove it from my sleeping unit, you know. So we'll go into that in maybe a future video. But yeah, out here at Quartzsite, the crime rate that everybody was talking about this year is not as, I haven't noticed anything. But then also at the fact of where do you hang around, you know? If you are the type that I'm not saying La Posa South is crime ridden. I'm just saying if you hang around the party animals and the people, you know, you camp next to the people that you like and, you know, you like to party, there's going to be problems with partying. You know, everybody doesn't link up together and, you know, commingle at the same human frequency, I guess. I don't know how to put that, but if you party, you party. If you don't, you know, you can park next to them, but you're going to be dealing with the noise all the time. Where I'm at, I really haven't. We had one group of people that had their, I say, semi-permanent camp spot out here. There's a lot of those rock formations that are semi-permanent camp spots. You know, that they set their rock formation up. They know every year they come back, their rock formation's still there. And as long as nobody's pre-parked in their parking spot, they kind of reclaim their own territory. And there is a spot out here in La Posa North that is kind of an area set up that we all know around this area that, hey, there's about 4 or 5 van dwellers that like to come out and park at that spot, and they party. And they party till midnight or later sometimes. They weren't a huge deal. Everybody warned, you know, a couple people said, hey, we've parked here for years. These guys get kind of rowdy. Are you cool with that? I'm like, dude, I don't care. They're not going to bother me. My box is pretty well insulated, and I can't really hear much outside of my box unless you're right on top of me causing noise. So, you know, that's just my theory on it. If you park in bad areas, And even some people that don't park at the LTVAs and they're out in the country, in the wild, what I like to call the wild BLM land. How far do you park off in the freaking desert? If you're closer to the road, you're going to have issues. If you're way out in the desert, you may have issues. Don't park alone out here, people. Find if you're coming out here for winter, don't park by yourself. Meet up with friends. There's a lot of campers that are out here like me. I don't travel around Quartzsite that much. I go do my grocery shopping, go run an errand or two, go pick up a box from local, what is it called? I can't even remember the name of it. It's like Ironwood. They receive packages, so I go pick up a package from them. I'm normally always out at my rig, so that may be why I don't have a crime problem near where I'm at. And I have several people that park not too close, within 400 yards of me. And, I've had one of them go and ask me, hey, keep an eye on my camp while I'm gone. I'm going to go run this errand. And if I didn't have a reliable transportation, I would ask that person, hey, here's a $10 bill. Can you go pick me up a case of soda? But, I have reliable transportation, so I don't feel the need to have anybody get anything for me. But I've kept an eye on their campsite. Had a elderly couple that stayed for 2 weeks, and they parked right on my doorstep within 50 feet of where I'm at. And they parked in the middle of the night. They came in, they parked, and I'm like, oh, God, they're going to have a generator running all the time. Quite literally the opposite. Their generator, I did not even hear it. When it turned on, I was like, is there a generator running? I hear something running. They're 50 feet away from me, and it sounded like a generator, almost a quarter mile away from me, really. It was pretty silent, and once I got into my box, once I got a fan running, I couldn't hear their generator anymore. So, the aspect of being bothered with them, the last day they were here, they came over and said, hey, we're headed out. I've talked to them so many times, gave them the grand tour of my rig, and they got a kick out of it because it was so small, and it had everything that they wanted, and they were like, well, we got this huge 30, 40-foot RV that it's everything they really want, but they've got to run that generator all the time. And I told them, I was like, I don't have to run a generator unless it's cloudy for a week, But they even, the day they left, they come over and brought me a pizza. It was like, appreciate you keeping an eye on the place, which I thought was kind of cool. And, they left about a week ago, and I've been thinking about content and what do I want to put on my channel and how I want to go about it. I want to do a lot of live traveling where I set you guys up on the dashboard. I set up a GPS. I start heading in a direction, and you guys are along for the ride, and you get to see what I see on the road and get my commentary. I'll do a couple, maybe 25, 30-minute lives while I'm driving down the interstate or back roads. Last year I did a lot of, from Florida to Kentucky, I did a lot of back road traveling. And I normally don't like to do back roads just because to me, I could drive on the interstate, go longer mileage, and get there quicker than go on a back road, take longer time, and have way less miles traveled. And what I found out last year is the way less miles traveled forces you to slow the hell down and really observe the sights that you're driving through. And that's where I'm finally at, is like, oh, well, maybe I don't need to be hitting, I-10 and traveling from California to Florida or wherever the hell it ends, outside of Louisiana or something. Maybe I don't need to travel on the interstate all the time. And that's where I've finally gotten to the aspect of slowing down a bit. But back to Quartzsite, being out here, I had several family members ask me, like, hey, why did you decide to go to Quartzsite instead of, you could have lived, you could come stay out here in this state, on this family's property, or you could have came to this state and stayed here, and you know, and I thought about it, and I was like, told them the main thing was the weather. It's very nice out here. Haven't had too many issues with weather. It's always sunny. So my solar, because I have a larger array and a smaller battery bank, I never really have to worry about my batteries being dead, or have to run a generator, because a lot of the areas my family wants me to camp is in non-rural areas. They're in cities. They're in towns, which some of these towns are cool with you, pulling up behind somebody's house and staying for a couple weeks or a month or two. Or, hell, I know one town I could have probably pulled up behind my cousin's house and stayed out there for 6 months and nobody would have said shit. But I want to see the country is my thing, and this is the cheapest, easiest way for me to do that. So coming out here to Quartzsite, I traveled all last year and a good part of the winter last year, and this year I was like, I want to, first of all, slow down. There's no rush for me to see this whole country as fast as I've been trying to do it. And then also, I'm using this time to try to save money, which is not really working out, but I'm getting objections, or what do you call it? I'm getting certain things completed that I needed to be doing. I needed some new tires for the trailer. I had brand new ones when I left. Came from Missouri straight to Quartzsite. I've already destroyed 2 sets of tires, but they were not rated for what I needed. So I've got the new correct tires that I think I need. I need to set up 1 spare, and that's right now what's eating up my money is buying stuff I need to continue to travel. Which, so far, so good. Next month, I should have everything I need to get to be able to start traveling again. I'm just going to be balling on a budget. So if I say, hey, go ahead and I'll put a link onto one of my videos and you guys vote to the next place I go, I would love to start doing that, but I know I have to have a certain income just to reach that goal, and at this time I'm not going to be able to do it with as few viewers as I have. However, I'm hoping shortly I can get my channel up to enough where I can do some live streaming, show everybody the road, give everybody my life's experience on what's going on, and maybe help some other future nomads that are wanting to come out here and do this on the do's and don'ts. So I'm going to go ahead and kill this video right here, and since I've pretty much ran out of everything I wanted to say, and just say, looking for 50 subscribers. As soon as I can get that, I can do some live streams, and like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. Some of I only have a few videos right now, but some of them, might interest those crazy people that like to build things with their hands, and even if it is a, Lego set that I've kind of built. So, like, comment, share, subscribe, and see you guys in the next video.